That happened then because laws and policies that create practices are not always fair and just and equal for all of us, even today. That we are not all in a place where we're all treated the same.
At this important time in our history of our state and of our country, don't take away the voice of the people who are fighting for a better life for themselves and for their children. Peaceful protest is the bedrock of social change and of our democracy. And this is a thinly veiled threat to erode that very basic principle.
I know my father, as a black man, participated in the protests in the 60s. And I know the long and rich history of that. His family's from Alabama. When he was 6 years old, he wanted to drink out of a drinking fountain, and he got slapped across the head by his grandfather, said, no, not that one. And so you can bet, in the 60s, that's where my father went back to help out his own family members for the right to vote and exist in their own town.
We go to the hospital. My father, because of his job, he had health insurance. We usually lived in urban areas near a reservation, Indian health service. Well, we would walk in the door, either I'd be bleeding or I'd have 105 fever, seizure, and the nurse would tell my parents, we can't serve you. You have to go down, whether it's 20 miles, 100 miles. We will not serve you. You have to go to the Indian health clinic. And so my dad says, well, we have insurance. And so it would have to practically be a media event, a protest to get service in a white hospital.
Members, the American response to injustice is civil disobedience. It always has been. And I tell you this story about my father-in-law because I think that this vote is about who's protesting now, and it's not. It's not, and it never will be. There are people who have protested in the past about things we may or may not agree with, and there's going to be people who protest in the future about things we might not even know about right now. We took an oath to be in this body, to uphold our Constitution. Democracy requires discipline for those who participate in it. This is not discipline.
So I want you to think about the kind of message that you are sending. You are continuing to say, we don't care about you. We don't want to see you. We don't want to hear from you. We find you annoying. We find you nuisance. And we would like to just have you disappear. The reality is you can't make us disappear. We are part of this state, we are part of this country. And there have been many laws that have changed in this country that were detrimental to people who look like me and Representative Rena Moran.
Think about how inconvenient it is to have to tell your children, to teach your sons and your grandsons what to do when you're pulled over because you're a black man. So when we talk about being inconvenienced or how annoying it is, I want everyone to stop for a minute and think what it's like to be a person of color and to be continually, year after year, time after time, inconvenienced because you are not of white privilege.
This provision is about silencing dissent. This provision is about attempting to divide us. I will remind you of the protests mentioned by others here, including Representative Hillstrom. It isn't just Black Lives Matter, it is all Minnesotans. It is miners, it is farmers, it is people who want to make a living wage. And really, it could be anything going forward. And I believe that my amendment, and the reason I brought this forward is the reason that I ran for office. This amendment is about freedom. This amendment is about our Constitution and our rights. And this amendment is about the heart of our democracy, which is direct action for centuries. It is at the heart of what makes us American and not some other country where this type of behavior does get shut down and punished. So this is about justice.